I decided to replenish my supply of alcohol and went to the convenience store. Japanese people don't usually buy whiskey at night, so it's not that easy to find a place that sells it. But I knew the area well and even had some contacts in the local liquor boutiques, which sold mostly Japanese sake. If I needed to, I could just knock on the door and get a bottle of whatever I wanted, even at 3 in the morning. But at that moment I wanted some whiskey, preferably the imported kind. Having stocked up, I was returning home in a cheerful mood. Weirdly enough, I hadn't even had any yet. The street was drowning in the half-darkness. The little areas illuminated by streetlights seemed to be the only safe spots, the blackness between them threatening to swallow people idly walking along. I touched something small and seemingly valuable with my foot. I bent down and grabbed a wallet. Immediately I heard someone's resigned sigh and saw a girl leaning against a wall about 10 meters away from me under one of the streetlights. I came closer and called out to her. "Excuse me, did you just lose a wallet?" For some reason I didn't even think to look inside, count the notes. "Huh?" "No shit." She turned around and I recognized Kobayashi Ellie. "That's it!" she shouted and grabbed the wallet in my hands. "Been looking for it." Kobayashi Ellie. "Quite tipsy, Kobayashi Ellie." "Wait, you didn't..." "You're going to accuse me of stealing your wallet? I'll save the time." Yes, that's exactly what I did. First I stole it, then my conscience acted up and I decided to return it. That's exactly how it happened. Don't you doubt me. That's what normal criminals do. Her face reflected the laborious mental process of taking place inside her head. "Where did you find it?" "Over there. Why were you looking for it here?" "Well, it's lighter here." "Indeed," I snickered. "I'd be more careful in the future. In general, wandering alone in the night." I paused, picking my words carefully. "In your condition." "What are you implying here?" "I'm not implying anything. Let's be honest. I'm the more sober of us. At least for now." "I'm going to listen to all this. Coming from you." "Well then." I was about to leave, but Ellie seemed to remember something. "Wait. Wasn't that girl in your group? Caitlin? Courtney? Catherine?" "Yes, right. Catherine." "What about her?" I immediately grew suspicious and Ellie lost all her fire. Like she'd been hiding, like she said something she shouldn't have. "Well, I don't know if I should tell you." "Trust me, you should. She and I are together. We're together. Actually, I may be the only person who should be told this." "Wow, macho man." Ellie's drunk smirk didn't look very attractive. "If you know anything..." "Well, not that I know, just heard something. You must know my grandfather. He's..." Her expression became serious, as if she was speaking about something unpleasant. "I know who your grandfather is." "Yeah, so I just overheard. I didn't mean to eavesdrop, it just happened this way." I got it. Grandpa was talking with someone on the phone and mentioned this name a few times. Catherine. I forgot the surname. Winters. Yes, right. Caitlin Winters. Catherine Winters. What did I say? Ellie asked, confused. Jesus. So what was he saying about her? I didn't really hear it clearly. I wasn't eavesdropping, remember. Just passing by. That door is hard to close, so it was slightly open. I've been asking a servant to fix it or call someone to have it fixed for a while already. Can you just cut to the chase? I was trying to talk calmly, but inside my emotions were boiling. Grandpa said that I needed to move her somewhere. I was not safe to keep her in the old place. He mentioned that the Americans got too close or something. Are you sure you got it right? Do you think I'm an idiot? She asked with indignation. No. Is that all you heard? Yes. Thank you. You've helped me a lot. I hope your friend is going to be okay. You know, it's hard to live knowing your family is responsible for a lot of things you don't even want to think about. So you believe your grandfather could somehow harm Catherine? I don't know, and I hope not. It's obviously couldn't have got where he is without always being a good Samaritan. You don't seem to be doing much to defend him. Well, he's put me through a lot too. If you remember anything else, check my pockets, but obviously there was no pen and paper. Telephone. Here. Ellie gave me a marker. I use it for autographs, but there's nothing you can write the number on. Oh, hold on. She rolled up the sleeve of her jacket. Are you sure? Let's just say you gave me an autograph. I quickly wrote my number on her arm. Should I see you home? It's night. No need. A car will pick me up, and it's better if they don't see you. I'll call you if I hear anything new. Okay. Ellie coming in clutch. Didn't expect that. Ellie said and staggeringly disappeared into the darkness. Well, damn. I had almost come to terms with the thought that Catherine had disappeared from my life forever. Of course. Everything was coming together. Yeah, and I immediately thought of the Kobayashi Corporation too. I was right. Of course I was fucking right. I tried to distract myself like, well, would Kobayashi really care about Catherine? I'm like, yeah, no, he would. He doesn't like Americans just as much. Your first assumption is often the right one. I didn't believe the story about Catherine returning to the U.S. from the very beginning. Yeah, no. She was kidnapped. That's all. I even had a suspect now. Kobayashi Corporation. I was blaming myself for rejecting the idea of searching for Katya so easily. If not for Ellie, I would have never learned what had happened. I was flying home as if I had wings. While I could suspect Kobayashi Corporation as much as I wanted, a peasant ought not complain about his lord. I couldn't just go to the police with my suspicions. Considering the size of the corporation, I was certain that the police was receiving hundreds of such claims per year. They fired my husband, and he jumped from Tokyo Tower. People disappear every day. Why not blame the Corporation of Evil for that? But harsh reality couldn't kill my newborn hope. I returned home, put the whiskey in the cupboard, washed my hair, brushed my teeth, and went to bed. I have a clear head tomorrow when I would declare my own personal war against the entire world. Let's fucking go. Let's fucking go. Let's fucking go! I woke up at sunrise without an alarm bell. I'd say I hadn't felt that rested and full of energy for a long while. It was just a burst of energy before a battle. When preparing for a hard fight, you either get yourself together or hide in a dark corner where your enemies won't find you. My lifted spirits didn't benefit me in and of themselves, though. I was in the same dead end as yesterday. And the only other person I could ask for help was Kagome. Well, yeah, Catherine's mother again. Oh. I figured Kagome, because, she's also at war with the Kobayashi Corporation. It's kind of where my mind was going, but... yeah, go to Cheryl. It's stupid to think I get anything more tangible from her this time, but I have much choice but to be a broken record. Yeah, you know what they say, fourth time's the charm, right? I was shuffling from foot to foot in front of the door of her apartment, casting glances at my watch every 5 seconds, hoping that the hand would move faster. Wasn't it too early? What if I wake up Ms. Winters? She'd be in a bad mood, and consequently... the time for niceties is long past. Nobody was going to be nice to me anyway. Yeah, it's like, no, I don't want to wake her up. I confidently pressed the buzzer, and after a minute, I heard a sleepy voice. That you, Nikolai? Yes, we need to talk. No doubt. She sighed and opened the door. I love that. Yep, I'm sure. When I walked out of the elevator and entered the apartment, Catherine's mother was already dressed and even put on a minimal amount of makeup, although her hair was still messy after the night's sleep. Overall, she looked pretty amusing, and I couldn't help but smile. Sorry I haven't rolled out the red carpet. Excuse me, but I need to discuss something urgent. You always do, she said skeptically and looked around, like a short-sighted person searching for their glasses. Mind if I make myself some coffee? Sure. Do you want some? No, thank you. She went to the kitchen, leaving me alone in the living room. On the way here, I rehearsed everything I wanted to tell her in my head, many times over, prepared to blurt it out at once in a single breath. Now Ms. Winters just waved all my confidence away with a single hand gesture. That's usually how it goes. You prep yourself, and then the moment comes, it's like, okay. She was gone for a few minutes, but to me they seemed like hours. Catherine's mother returned with a big steaming mug in her hand, sat on the sofa, crossed her legs, and looked at me expectantly. So what did you want to talk about this time? I know that Catherine was kidnapped by people from the corporation. I blurted out. Is that so? And where did you get this information from? From reliable sources. However you looked at it, Kobayashi Ellie could hardly be called a reliable source, but on the other hand, she was the last person who had any reason to lie to me. And what are these sources, if I may ask? I'm sure you guarantee the anonymity of your sources in the CIA, so I hope you'll understand my desire to keep hers. Hers, is it? I bit my lip. Although my slip only reduced the number of potential informants to 60 million people. Doesn't matter. She at least has no reason to lie to me. And I do. I only then noticed that Mrs. Winters was acting unusually serious, without even a shadow of sarcasm. I think so. Well, Nikolai, let's say you're right, she said after a pause. But how does it help us? Don't you think that I at least had the right to know the truth? Well, now you do. She responded phlegmatically. God, they love that word! And took a sip of her coffee. I'm really wondering, don't you feel ashamed at all? Should I? Alright, it's obviously too late to educate you. Suddenly I felt a surge of confidence, perhaps because I knew I was right. I didn't come here to point fingers, although I don't understand how you can be so calm knowing that your daughter's been kidnapped. Or maybe you're hiding something else from me. I've already told you everything I deem necessary. Think about it, Nikolai. Even if things are so bad, hypothetically, how could you help? Maybe you used to be a Marine, or you have some connections, or a position in the government. Maybe you have significant financial resources. Well, Nikolai, how can you help? You see everyone just how they can benefit you? Catherine must not be very important then. Cheryl Winters' face changed. If I'm not running all over Tokyo, I don't care. What's the point of all your flailing around? Has it helped Catherine at all? I see only one result so far. Or saw, rather. I realized she meant Catherine's pregnancy and felt disgusted. I wanted to respond with something explicit, but in the end, it only made things more complicated. I agree I haven't always done the right thing. Does that mean I deserve this treatment? Catherine's mother only scoffed in response and gripped her mug tighter, warming her hands. Fine. I realize that arguing with you won't get me anywhere. Thank you, she hemmed. I'm still waiting for answers to my questions. Nikolai, I'm still trying to explain that you can't help in any way, but you can make things worse. How can a simple Japanese student make things worse for a mighty Japanese corporation? I laughed. Some people believe you know more than you're willing to let on. And I take it you're one of these people. You've yet to convince me otherwise. So I have to convince you. I thought we had the presumption of innocence. I made an emotional gesture and started walking across the room. Mrs. Winters, we might be talking about your daughter's life. Although maybe I was exaggerating and it wasn't that serious. What if she was hiding Catherine somewhere herself? Unless you have something to do with it, I said slowly. Why would I kidnap my own daughter? But you don't deny that she's been kidnapped. All I can say now is that you shouldn't poke your nose any deeper into this. You can only make things worse. Unless, of course, what? Let's assume that Catherine is indeed being held hostage. Then it's obvious that they need something from me. From you, not from me. You've seen the letter, haven't you? But you received the same one. The meaning of those letters became less and less obvious. If you wanted a ransom, you wouldn't ask someone to not look for the victim. Ms. Winters lifted her eyebrows, like she'd heard someone speaking her mother tongue in a crowd of strangers. You're learning fast. Just trying to think logically. Alright. She sniffed and stood up. I need to go to work, if that's all. No, we haven't even started yet. Yet, that's how we'll have to end it. Fine. You should know that I'm not going to give up looking for Catherine. And we'll find her even without your help. Make sure you don't burn yourself out, Nikolai. I'll put my gloves on. I replied and walked out of the apartment, slamming the door. Cheryl Winters acted like she'd been doing me a favor by telling me the truth. Or to be precise, a small portion of it. However, nothing about the bigger picture had changed. Most importantly, I still didn't know what had happened to Catherine and had no way to help her. Besides, I just couldn't make sense of her mother's behavior right after Catherine had disappeared compared to the days since. Like she'd learned something that meant she didn't need to worry anymore. Yeah, really makes me feel like she's got a hand in it. Like, the way she said that, like, clearly they need something from me. And it's like, why would they need anything from you? The note you were given doesn't say anything about a ransom. So why would you assume they need something from you unless you're using Catherine as a pawn to try to get something out of Nikolai and are making up this bullshit story about it, and you're the one holding or that you fucking, made some kind of fucking contract with the goddamn corporation to where it's like, yeah, you guys take this one, this girl off the street, and maybe we'll get you the things you need. She just happened to forget to tell me about it. No, she didn't forget to tell you about it. But now I had, if not an ally, at least a person who cared a little about me. Kobayashi Ellie. Oh, okay, I was like, what? I hope we're not talking about Cheryl here. Yeah, I was exaggerating her sympathy toward me, but I wasn't about to give up. In any other situation, it would have been a good idea to ignore my first impulse and think carefully. And I definitely wouldn't run to her without a second thought. You can't always just stop and calmly analyze your plans after everything seemed to be over. You've just found a glimmer of hope in the distance. I wasn't a regular guest at school these days, hence why, or maybe because of, my crazed look, I caught a lot of surprised glances. Most likely it was because I barged into a different class right after the bell for recess. My noble impulse was to no avail. Ellie hadn't come to school today. I didn't have time to be disappointed while mindlessly wandering the corridors or into Himitsu. A pity I hadn't noticed her earlier. Could have tried to avoid an unpleasant conversation.
Nikko-kun.
She was cheery as usual, but then grew gloomy.
I'm glad you came today.
I just dropped by to find someone.
But Kata-chan.
No, not Catherine. I grabbed Himitsu by the hand and walked away with her to avoid anyone eavesdropping. The Japanese, it seemed to me, were way too curious about things that didn't concern them directly. Discussing other people, rumors, even their unhealthy interest toward urban legends. Of course, not everyone was as fanatical as Kyosuke. I personally didn't under their passion? What? I don't even know what you're trying to say there. Maybe there just wasn't enough happening in their own lives. Meanwhile, mine was eventful enough for a dozen average Japanese and change.
Nikko-kun?
Yes, and about Catherine. Started speaking in Russian to make sure nobody could understand us. Of course she didn't go anywhere. She was kidnapped.
How do you know that?
What does it matter? I just do. Don't tell me that you believed all that garbage about returning to the U.S.
Unlike you, I don't see conspiracies everywhere.
She replied dryly. And of course you'd want it to be that way. It's not Catherine's fault that our relationship... I felt like I was trying to look for excuses again. And what's worse, starting to feel guilty. It was as if my words were triggering a reflex, or maybe just seeing Himitsu was enough. How long can we talk about this?
You started it, Nico-kun.
Yes, I wanted you to know the truth, but you don't seem particularly surprised.
Nico-kun, you can blame me all you want for what happened to Kadi-chan, but none of it is my fault.
She frowned, not even trying to conceal her annoyance. Oh, sorry, I'm not always ready to believe every word you say these days. I shouted, and an English teacher passing by reprimanded me. I see you're practicing Russian, but you don't have to be so loud.
Sorry, Sensei.
I said nothing, trying not to look him in the eyes, waited until the weird teacher walked further away. Look who's talking. He doesn't even know Japanese.
Nico-kun, I don't recognize you at all. You've changed so much since Kadi-chan returned, and not for the better. It's pity you don't notice it yourself.
Changed. I scoffed, but it made me think. What if I've always been like that and you just never noticed?
I would have noticed over 10 years.
Maybe there hasn't been any reason to show my true colors. Like maniacs, you know? Afterwards, in the interviews, their family, friends, and neighbors always say that they were such kind people.
Then it's weird you didn't kill anyone after your parents died the first time Kadi-chan left.
I didn't want to acknowledge, but she was right. Of course, my current life could hardly be called normal. It'd be hard to call my behavior unnatural. But what happened a year and a half ago could also drive anyone, even though a strong-willed person, mad. On the other hand, there was a cumulative effect. My psyche could more or less bear with the stress until a certain point, but in the end, it started to inevitably crack. You would have wanted that, wouldn't you? You'd be bringing me parcels in prison, writing letters, something like that, and I'd be safe and sound there, well protected from Catherine's advances.
Nico-kun, I'm tired of listening to this nonsense. If you want to talk normally, I'll be glad to listen.
Nonsense, huh? I felt my emotions boiling up. Maybe because I realized that even Himitsu had obviously gotten tired of me. At some point, almost every person wonders that the entire world is against them. Maybe it's not the world's fault. What is this sophistry anyway? It doesn't change the facts. The fact that Catherine has been kidnapped.
If they don't find her, I won't be upset.
Himitsu forced out through gnashed teeth and turned away, fearing she knows someone familiar in the crowd of students passing by. I have no doubt. That was the end of the conversation. Naturally, it wasn't our first fight, but I could feel something come apart inside me after it. Apparently, she no longer intended to mindlessly back down from me, thinking she was in the right. And I couldn't accept her being right in this way. Not everything in this world can be defined as correct or incorrect. It also matters what stands behind that correctness. Himitsu liked to twist the facts, constantly reprimanding me for my behavior, but at the same time deliberately ignoring the reasons for it. Maybe I didn't act the most adequate way at times, and so what? There were only a couple of minutes left before the end of break. I ran into the classroom, paying no attention to anyone else, started looking for Kyosuke. Of course, there were many ways to find out where Ellie lived. They were all tied to all sorts of problems and inquiries that would raise questions. Kyosuke was the only person who could do no harm to me besides giving me a snarky look. Let's go for a walk. I grabbed him by the arm and virtually dragged him out of the classroom. Nick, but the class. We'll be quick. We walked to the furthest staircase, usually the most deserted one. You must know where Kobayashi Ellie lives. Ellie? Kobayashi? He repeated as if tasting the words. Oh, yeah, I do. Everybody does. He said seriously without a shade of irony in his voice. Afraid to even ask why you would need her address. You haven't spent long mourning Catherine-san. You're right to be afraid, I growled. Fine. Listen. Give me the address. Man, you've got a good memory for these things. Nick, you do realize that you can't simply walk into her mansion, right? She doesn't live there alone. They must have enough bodyguards for a small private army. I'm about to wage a small private war. Kyosuke wanted to say something else, but the bell rang. Be careful. Thank you. I was genuinely grateful. He went to the classroom, and I, to once again, tempt my fate. Didn't manage to get far. Michael was waiting around the corner. He was leaning against the wall, looking out a window with an absent-minded expression. I stopped, not knowing what to do. Ignore him, or approach after all? He ended up there after the bell for no reason. Finally, Michael looked at me himself. Don't you think you could skip the theatrics? For a second, I saw a glimmer of annoyance on his face, but then he spoke, his voice calm as usual. I heard what you were talking about. Yeah, and has your mom ever told you that it's rude to eavesdrop? Michael sighed in the same dramatic manner. I think I might help you find Catherine. Can you now? I didn't know what he was trying to achieve, and I had no reason to trust him. If I believed Michael had feelings for Catherine, I could at least assume that he wasn't going to do her harm. Do you think it's a good idea to show up to Kobayashi's mansion alone and demand explanations? Why do you assume I need an explanation? Then why? Michael looked unfazed, and I immediately realized he knew more than he was saying. It's none of your business. Is this somehow related to Catherine's disappearance? Who told you that she disappeared? You. I never said that. I didn't, right? So you intend to be stubborn. What made you think that I need your help? To be honest, after yesterday's encounter, I felt far less confident. Not that I started to fear Michael, but at least now I looked at him with more respect. You still haven't learned a thing. He sighed again, closed his eyes. Okay, what do you know? I asked carefully. that Catherine didn't go anywhere, and that you're trying to pressure Kobayashi Ellie. Pressure? I smirked. However, no matter how hard it was for me to admit, he was right. I'm still wondering how you got this information. These are just my logical assumptions. Yeah, right. I scoffed but decided to play along. And what can you even do? Sorry, but both of us are simple students. I was dragged into all this, even if against my will, but you... If I am the only problem, I can promise I'm not going to stand in your way when Catherine is found. Why the 180? I was genuinely surprised. I thought about it and decided that I was being too pushy. You could only achieve the opposite result. So you're going to pretend that you support me just to present yourself as the hero at the right moment? Nick, despite what you might think, not everyone around you is plotting against you. Of course not, but you were very clear about your intentions with Catherine. That doesn't mean I believe that if I can have her, no one can. Michael was telling the truth, or at least I wanted to believe he was. That made me feel even worse about my behavior yesterday. I didn't mean anything like that. And I'm sorry. Either way, I shouldn't have reacted like that yesterday. I don't know to what extent this apology was sincere. I was probably just trying to make myself look good to placate him. Sorry about the bruise. Is it that noticeable? No, not at all. I had no idea you knew martial arts. You used to do some back in the States. Were you good? You tell me. He smiled, and all the tension in the air disappeared at once. So what are you suggesting? Oh wait, is it buddy cop time? Are we gonna fucking buddy cop duo with Michael? This is gonna be fucking awesome. Let's go. Kobayashi's performance tonight. I'm trying to talk to her there, without witnesses. Concerts every other day, like a real rock star. It's just for me tonight at the club. Don't you want to know why I want to talk to Ellie specifically? I'm used to solving problems as they come. Alright, let's do it. For a second there was an awkward pause. Everything had been said, but I couldn't bring myself to finish the conversation. Michael kept standing there as if waiting for something. Then, see you tonight? See you. He nodded and returned to the classroom, as if entering it in the middle of the lesson was nothing out of the ordinary to him. Fuck yeah. Fuck yeah. Buddy cop time with Michael. That conversation with Michael gave me the crazed confidence that everything was going to be alright. Okay, let's not get ahead of ourselves, Nico. Let's not get ahead of ourselves, buddy. Perhaps because this was the first time in a long while I had some real support, even for now it was in word only. Michael's one of the few motherfuckers I got some level of faith in. Honestly. I think he really only put you in your place and said the things he did because you were a fucking drunken idiot. Or perhaps I just desperately wanted to believe that someone actually cared. I believe Michael actually cares. I truly believe he's like the one motherfucker that I can give a fuck him that, other than Kyosuke. Kyosuke has proven himself time and time again to be a down homie. Both in Kagome's route, in Himitsu's route. Kyosuke, his loyalty, beyond a doubt, right? Don't ever question my homie Kyosuke. But, yeah, Michael, bro, homie ain't giving me no reason. Like, yeah, he snapped at Nikolai when he was like, maybe I'll just go looking, maybe I'll still pursue her anyway, even though you said that you're still together. You know, or however he phrased it, right? He didn't say it like that, but however he did phrase it, like, even after that, he was really only lashing out at that because he saw the way Nikolai was acting. He's like, and he was, you know, disgusted by the way Nikolai was acting. And as we can tell, he's like, listen, you know, I'm back off. I realized, like, I can't get her anyway if I try to act the way I was. So I'm gonna just back off, let you do your thing. Which, like, once again, Michael might have some fucking negative things to say about him now after the whole trying to assault him thing. But Michael's still, like, one of the very few people I'd still call a homie. Strictly speaking, this conversation hadn't given me new reason to trust Michael, but it was also hard to suspect him of having something against me. What reason do you really have to just trust Michael? I mean, yes, he said that he was going to go after Catherine anyway, because you were acting like a fucking idiot, though. Because you're acting like a fucking dunce. Matter now was no relationship, but finding Catherine. Disagreeing on one thing, but staying together on another, we easily share a common goal. Yeah, it's buddy cop time. The entire way back home, I felt like someone was watching me. Yeah, I think it's Phoenix right there. Sure, this wasn't the first time, but there was something new about the feeling, as if I were wearing freshly bought shoes. The same face kept flashing in the crowd, and I was nervously looking over my shoulder at intersections, occasionally shivering even though it was pretty warm outside. This time I didn't feel like finding the tail. What was the point if tomorrow there would be another? Besides, it might have just been a result of my fevered imagination.